let's give away percentage of week 1 money that's out on the teams, and these are teams you typically want to stay away from in week 1 of the NFL. Week 1 money, you definitely do not want to bet on teams that have more than 70% of the money in week 1. It's a tough spot. Some of them will win, but generally speaking, they're not all going to win. The vast majority is typically, generally speaking, a bad spot to start. We're going to talk about just general trends. We're not talking about specific teams. Just generally speaking, this type of gambling thought process is a losing one. So that's what this is. Over 70%, Philadelphia, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, the Bears, Buffalo, and Minnesota all have 70% or more. Generally speaking, you want to stay away from them. Also, week 1, underdogs of 1 to 5 points, which also plays into this same thing. A lot of the games I just mentioned to you are going to be playing teams like Philadelphia, 4.5-point favorite. Jacksonville, 3-point favorite. Cincinnati, 1-point favorite. The Bears, 3-point favorite. So you get the theme. Over 70%, not winning or not covering very much at a very high percentage. It's somewhere around 40% in week 1. Since 2018, in week 1, underdogs of 1 to 5 points. So basically all these teams, the other team they're playing, are covering 64% of the time. They're on a 55-31 run against the spread. So small favorites in week 1 typically lose to small underdogs in week 1. Road underdogs overall, doesn't matter what the number is, 61%. Home favorites, which is, again, all this goes back to gambling. The general public wants to bet the favorite team, the best team, especially early in the season. How do you bet against Patrick Mahomes in week 1? How do you bet against Philadelphia in week 1? Even the ones that fell a little short, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, these teams that had great years, good teams, and maybe added a piece or two, the general public wants to find a reason to bet on them. That's a bad idea in week 1. There will be spots for that, but that's not week 1. Week 1, you want underdogs. You want road underdogs. Probably may not win, but they're going to outperform the market at least about a 60% clip since 2018. So just a couple of things to narrow down the big field into a smaller subset. So some of these different general trends will, at the very minimum, keep you out of generally spots that are going to lose you money. Weeks 1 through 3, favorites of 1 to 2.5 points, so small favorites, they've covered 34% of the time. And that goes all the way through week 3 of the NFL season. Do not bet Cincinnati -1 versus Cleveland because you're sure Cincinnati's going to be better than what Cleveland is with, and you, by the way, you don't like the old rub and tug going on at the thing, and you're against that, so you're going to bet against Deshaun Watson because you don't want to be a part of that. That is not how you bet on sports. Now, I'm not telling you to go bet Cleveland. I'm just saying don't bet Cincinnati in that spot because they're only covering 34% of the time in recent history.
Why do you think that is? Is it the fact that we don't get to see the full team during the preseason? Is it that because those guys maybe are a little bit rusty, they don't have the cohesion that they need to be able to perform at a high level, or are sports books over or undervaluing teams early in the year?
It's 100% because the general public doesn't know how to factor in lines correctly. They're just looking at teams. And so you're going to have a lot more money on the better teams, especially early in the year. And so that makes the sports books move that number away from where it should be to make the favorite give more points than they should have to. Cleveland should probably be about a 2.5-point favorite at home against Cincinnati. Now, it's hard for the general public to think, how's that possible?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. You have a team that was, in the AFC Championship game versus a team that didn't even make the playoffs.
But parity in the league, along with the rustiness of players not playing and the value of home field early, worth about 2 or 3 points. But you don't do that with favorites, especially in week 1, especially when they're playing exactly that game. That's the one I circled. There's other spots like that. But you don't, and I'm not saying Cleveland's going to win. I let in. Don't play. I didn't say play Cleveland. I'm just saying don't play Cincinnati because you're getting horrible value. And winning money long term is about finding games that give you value the majority of the time. So you don't want to be on games that you know you're betting against what professionals, that's all they do, believe something different is going to happen by about 3 or 4 points because that's what's happening there. So stay away from spots like that. It's all because you have $50 at a time, Kenny Rogers, and most of them are 25 years old now, that are taking all the money they haven't spent in the summer. They're walking up to the sports books and they're betting their hard-earned money, having not factoring anything in. They're just looking at 2 games. Well, Cincinnati's going to beat Cleveland. Cleveland stinks. Cincinnati went all the way to blah, blah, blah. And they bet. Vegas already knows that. The line setters know that. That's why the lines are where they are. So be careful about falling into that general public trap, especially early in the year, because that's when most general public lose and most professionals win, are being able to get these games that don't look fun, but we're getting a ton of value, so we're going to win a lot more than we lose. It's a reason why I don't lose a lot in September. It's because lines are easier because the general public's not broke yet. General public goes broke, you got to have them get more money to make the value. But early in the year, everybody's got money. Everybody's Kenny Rogers. So we're going to take advantage of that at least for the first 3 or 4 weeks.